Hello, Fox Fairy, where I talk about marginalized subjects from a marginalized viewpoint, while I learn to draw. Hello, in this video, we will be covering LGBT umbrella terms. Umbrella terms that apply to identities that fall under the LGBT acronym. Starting with labels like Achillean and Tauric, and labels like SGA, and moving on to other identities that deserve to be covered as well. Let's start with Sapphic. Sapphic is an umbrella term for anyone who is a woman who is attracted to other women. This includes lesbians and bisexual women. This is an important distinction because sometimes referring to a relationship isn't always a lesbian relationship. It could be two bisexual women or a bisexual woman and a lesbian. That relationship would be sapphic. Calling it a lesbian relationship would be inherently putting the lesbian label on both people in the relationship. Sapphic can also be used to identify the specific type of attraction for communities and groups. For example, a support group for women who are attracted to women could be called a sapphic support group instead of a lesbian support group. Not only this, but some women might not feel comfortable identifying with the label lesbian, and though labels aren't for comfort, in this particular case, you still wouldn't be using a label that is not a label that describes you. You would just be reducing the specificness of a label that applies to you. Same with bisexual men. They might not feel comfortable outlining that they are open to dating men or non-binary people due to trauma or other issues, or simply the fact that they are only looking to date a woman at this time. They could consider themselves sapphic and reduce their identity as long as they acknowledge the rest of their identity as well. This ties into the other umbrella term, Achillean, which is a label for men who are attracted to other men. This includes gay and bisexual men. Same reasons that sapphic exists. Sapphic comes from the name Sappho of Lesbos, an author who was a lesbian in ancient Greece, who wrote poems about her attraction to women. Achillean is based off of Achilles, who had relationships with men, particularly Patroclus in Greek mythology. Part of me feels that it's a little bit strange that the label Sapphic gets a literal historic figure and the label Achillean gets a fictional demigod, but I guess you get what you get. Up next is SGA, or same-gender attraction. This includes anyone who experiences same-gender attraction, and that would be bisexual men and women, and gay and lesbian people. Again, same reasons that sapphic or Achillean would exist. This is just a term to outline a particular group of people who experience something unique to themselves. Up next, T4T. This means you are a trans individual who is only open to dating other trans individuals. You could be T4T and gay or lesbian, and you could be T4T and be feminameric or virameric. It simply means that you're only open to dating a trans person, and you yourself are trans. Why does a label like this exist? A trans person might not feel comfortable dating a cisgender person because they wouldn't be able to relate to the issues and struggles that they've had to endure, and a cisgender person might not understand their dysphoria. Also, being constantly compared to and measured up with a cisgender person might trigger dysphoria in a transgender person who is still going through their process of transitioning. So, a label like T4T can be helpful for those people to outline that they're not open to dating cisgender people. There are also labels like NB4NB or NBN for non-binary people who are only open to dating non-binary people for similar reasons. Non-binary itself is an umbrella term for null sex or agender, meaning they identify with a lack of sexual characteristics, and bigender or duosex, meaning they identify with a mixture or a complete balance of sex characteristics. You could say demigenders as well, which is a form of bigender or duosex, where you identify with a mix of sex characteristics or a mix of sex characteristics and ambiguous characteristics that have a sway towards one binary gender. Basically, on the gender spectrum, you're at a point that is closer to a binary gender, but you're not both non-binary and binary. Just as being bigender doesn't mean you're two genders, it just means you're between them. Some would say the word queer is an umbrella term, but it's not reclaimed by the entire community. So, if you are cishet, I wouldn't recommend you call someone who is in the LGBT community queer, nor if you are in the community should you call any person who is LGBT queer, because not everyone has reclaimed this word yet, and it is a derogatory word that's historically used to oppress LGBT individuals. And not only historically, but recently. Even I have had this word used in a derogatory sense against me by bigots. So it makes sense that I wouldn't reclaim this word. What it would mean in this context is any person who is not cishet. You could say that anyone who is not cishet is GRSM, which is a much more friendly and open term. You could also say they're mogai, but mogai is heavily associated with xenogenders, and that's a discourse topic, which I want to try and keep out of this series. This was a short one, but I hope it was really useful and helped clear everything up. I will be posting more videos on things like this in the future, and if you would like deeper explanations, I'd be happy to answer any questions in the comments. Subscribe would be much appreciated, and thank you for watching. I love you.